the silent dreams.
Welcome back or welcome. Wherever you are right now, whatever room, whatever city, whatever hour it happens to be, I want you to know that you have arrived somewhere safe. This is a place without urgency, without demands, without anything required of you at all except the smallest and most natural thing in the world, to rest. You have been moving through your day for a long time now. The day asked a great deal of you, as days tend to do. It asked you to think, to decide, to navigate, to respond. It asked you to be present in 100 small ways, and you were. You showed up. And now the day is finished, and it is asking nothing more of you, and you are free. You are free to let your body be heavy. You are free to let your thoughts slow down, not forced into silence, but simply allowed to lose their urgency, the way a river loses speed when it enters a wide, shallow lake. The thoughts can still be there. They simply do not need to go anywhere in particular anymore. Take a slow breath in through your nose. Fill your lungs from the very bottom. Let your belly expand first, then your ribs, then the very top of your chest. Hold it for just a moment at the top. And then let it go. A long, slow exhale through your mouth. Let your shoulders fall on that breath. Let your jaw unclench. Let the weight of your body settle down into whatever is beneath you. Take another breath if you need it. There is no hurry. There is nowhere to be. The only thing happening right now is this: a voice, a story, and the quiet arrival of sleep. Tonight, we are returning for the last time to a valley we know well. The valley on the solstice night is the valley at its most fundamental. Strip away the long summer evenings, the light that lingers until 10 o'clock, the warmth that loosens everything, the sense of abundance and ease that the long days bring. Strip away the autumn with its gold and amber, its harvest richness, its magnificent decline. Strip away the spring, which is always a kind of argument, an insistence that the world intends to continue. What remains is this: the valley in deepest winter, on the longest night, showing itself without the softening that other seasons provide. The hills are dark shapes against a sky that tonight is cloudless, the stars extraordinarily clear, sharp and cold, and very far away, looking down on the valley with the impartial attention they have given it since long before anyone was here to receive it. The fields are hard. The frost came in November and has been here since, deepening with each new cold night, releasing slightly in the afternoons when the sun is at its lowest angle and offers what warmth it can, which is not much. The grass is frozen white. The stone walls are rimed along their upper surfaces. The lane through the village rings underfoot like struck iron. The beck is still moving. It is always moving. It has never, in living memory, frozen solid. It runs too quick and too deep for that. But in this cold it has slowed and narrowed. Its voice reduced from the full, confident conversation of autumn to a quieter sound, more careful, more deliberate, as though choosing its words. The village is quiet. Most of the village has been quiet since 9 o'clock, which is when the last light went out in the cottages along the main lane, the Beaumont family, who rise at 5 for the farm and do not stay up past dark longer than they must. At 9:30, the saddler's house went dark. At 10, the post office, which is also the postmistress's home, and which showed its light later than usual tonight because the postmistress's niece is visiting from Matlock, and there has been conversation. It is now 11 o'clock. The church clock strikes it. The notes ring across the frozen valley, each one clean and very round in the cold air, traveling further tonight than on damp nights, reaching perhaps as far as the top wood on the hill above. 11 strikes. Then silence. And in that silence, scattered across the valley like the last embers of a fire, a handful of lights. The dispensary window. It is always the last, or nearly always. Tonight it burns at 11 because Edmund Harlow is doing something he does only in December. He is taking stock. Not the routine stock-taking of the evening round, the checking of stoppers, the inspection of labels, but the annual accounting. Every December, between Christmas Eve and the New Year, he opens the cabinet beneath the counter and removes every bottle and jar and paper of powder and assesses what has been used, what needs replacing, what has expired and must be discarded with the particular care that expired medicines require. He has moved the annual reckoning forward this year, to the solstice, because the week between Christmas and the New Year belongs to Clara's visit. James is bringing the children, and the house above the dispensary will be full in the way that it is full only once a year, and he wants the stock-taking done. He has been working since 9. The counter is covered in bottles, amber and clear and cobalt blue, arranged in the order he removed them from the cabinet, each one assessed and noted in the ledger open before him. The lamp is the large one tonight, the one he reserves for work requiring close attention, and its light is brighter than his usual evening lamp, turning the room almost warm-looking. He picks up a small flat bottle. Tincture of digitalis. Still good, digitalis has a long stability if properly stored, and he stores it properly. He sets it in the keep pile. He picks up a bottle of dilute carbolic solution. He holds it to the light. The color is right, the label is in good order. He sets it in the keep pile. He works steadily through the inventory, the way he works through everything, without haste, without impatience, giving each item the attention it deserves and no more. The work is satisfying in the way that all ordering is satisfying, the transformation of a disordered collection into an understood one, the replacement of uncertainty with knowledge. He knows what is here. He knows what is needed. He will write the order to Derby on Thursday, and it will be filled before Christmas. He is a man of 64 in a dispensary in a small Derbyshire village on the longest night of the year. He is warm. He is occupied. He is, in his way, content. Outside the window, the lane is empty and frozen, and lit only by the lamp post and the light of the stars on the frost. He continues his inventory. At 11:15, he caps the last bottle, closes the ledger and begins returning the bottles to the cabinet. This takes perhaps 20 minutes. He is careful about the order, each bottle in its proper place, the labels facing outward, the stoppers secure. At 20 minutes to midnight, he closes the cabinet. He blows out the large lamp. He takes the small lamp, his usual companion, and crosses to the back room, to the stairs, to the kitchen above, to the cold supper on the table. He eats standing as always. He carries the lamp to the sitting room. He sits in his chair. He does not open a book tonight. He is tired in a way that is not unpleasant, the tiredness of work completed, of a year's inventory reckoned and set in order, of 64 years of evenings that have arrived, one by one, at exactly this quality of quiet. He closes his eyes. Within minutes, his breathing slows. The lamp on the table beside him burns on, but he is no longer present to it. Edmund Harlow, apothecary, is asleep. The dispensary window goes dark. At the far western end of the lane, the cottage lamp is still burning. Frances has been awake since the church clock struck 9 when she heard it and thought, the solstice, the longest night. She remembers it every year, not with any particular ceremony, but with the simple acknowledgement that this is the turning point, the hinge of the year, the night after which the light begins its long return. She is knitting. She has been knitting since supper, a shawl this time, not socks, a project she began in October for no one in particular, simply because she wanted to knit something large and slow and warm, and a shawl is all of those things. The wool is a deep heather purple, a color she bought on impulse from the traveling draper and has not regretted. It is, she thinks, the color the moor should be in December if the moor were warmer than it is. The fire in the range is very low. She has banked it for the night, reduced it to the long, slow burn that will hold the room warm until morning without requiring any further attention. The lamp on the table is the last of tonight's light. She is thinking about Robert. Not with grief, or not only, with the particular quality of thought that the solstice brings, a kind of taking stock. Not so different from what Edmund is doing across the lane, though she would not put it in those terms. She is thinking about 31 years of winter solstices in this cottage, and of Robert's habit of marking the night, not with ceremony, but with a pause, a sitting in the dark for a minute before bed, acknowledging the longest night. He said once that it seemed like the respectful thing to do. She agreed then and agrees now. She sets down the knitting. She crosses to the lamp. Before she lowers the wick, she does what Robert did. She sits with the lamp for a moment, just a moment, in the knowledge of the night outside, the frost on the stone, the hard fields, the sky full of stars above the ridge, the valley in its long, cold rest. She sits with it. Then she lowers the wick. The cottage goes dark. Frances Dowell moves through the dark room. She has done it 10,000 times, finds the stairs, climbs the familiar 14 steps, finds her bed, lies down. The solstice night holds her. She sleeps. The schoolhouse light is on because Thomas cannot sleep. This is unusual. He is, as a rule, a good sleeper. The work of teaching 30 children empties him in a way that makes sleep straightforward. But tonight is the last day of the Christmas term, and the children go home tomorrow for 3 weeks, and he is experiencing the particular quality of wakefulness that comes at the end of something. He is not unhappy about the holiday. He is looking forward in his organized way to the 3 weeks of reading and walking, and the visit he has planned to Derby to see Alina, not his sister, a different Alina, a friend from his training years who is now teaching in a school in the town and who writes good letters and converses well. He is looking forward to the quiet. But endings have their own energy, and the energy is keeping him awake. He has given up on sleep for now. He is at the side table, not the desk, which is school, but the side table in the schoolhouse sitting room, which is his own, with a sheet of paper before him and the ink unstoppered. He is not writing to Alina. He is not writing the letter he keeps meaning to write to the school board in Derby about the condition of the schoolroom stove, which is becoming unreliable. He is writing something he has not written before. He is writing about the valley. Not for anyone, not as a letter or a report, simply writing the way he asks the children to write about a thing they know in the place where they know it. He writes, "I have been here 5 years. I came without intending to stay. I find that I have stayed, and that the staying was the right thing, though I could not have known this when I began it. I think there is a kind of knowledge that can only be acquired by remaining, not the knowledge in books that can be acquired anywhere, and I am grateful for books and will always be, but the knowledge of a place, of a specific valley, in a specific part of England, at specific seasons, in specific weathers. The knowledge that comes from having walked the same lane in frost and in mud and in the long summer light and in tonight's solstice dark. Agnes Beaumont asked me last week what the shortest day meant. I told her about the Earth's tilt and the geometry of it, which I hope was useful. But I did not tell her what I think it means in the sense she was perhaps really asking about. I think it means, here is the bottom of the year, here is the furthest point from the light, and from here only return. I find this on the longest night a thoroughly comforting thought. He reads back what he has written. He is not sure it is good. He is not sure it matters whether it is good. He puts down the pen, caps the ink, folds the paper and sets it in the drawer of the side table, where it will stay until he finds it again and decides what to do with it. He takes up the lamp. He crosses to the door of the schoolroom, unlocked, as it is every night, and opens it. The room is dark and cold and smells of chalk and stone, and the particular ghost of 30 children's mornings. He stands in the doorway for a moment. He thinks of Agnes Beaumont. He thinks, you asked me what the shortest day meant. He thinks, here is the answer I should have given. The shortest day means we are at the bottom, and everything from here is return. He closes the door. He goes to bed. At 11:30, the schoolhouse light goes dark. On the hill above the village, the keeper's cottage is dark already. Arthur went to bed at 9 o'clock, as he does most nights. He will be up at 5. The hours between 9 and 5 are not wasted in his reckoning. They are the most productive hours of the day, the hours when the body does the work the body needs to do, the work that no other kind of work can substitute for. He is at 11 o'clock, deeply and completely asleep. Bracken is asleep at his feet. The stove has been banked since 8. The game book is on the table, tomorrow's entry not yet written. The lantern is on its hook by the door, trimmed and ready for the 5 o'clock round. The frost on the hillside is thick tonight, thicker than in the village below, where the buildings hold some warmth. Up here, on the open slope, with the moor beginning 100 yards above the cottage, the frost has had its way completely. The heather is white. The path to the stile is white. The boundary wall is white along its upper course. The stars above the moor are very close. In the cottage, Arthur Moss breathes slowly in the dark, and the dark holds him. He is dreaming of the top wood in summer, the oak with its leaves full out, the light coming through in coins, the particular quality of a still day in the wood in August when everything is at its fullest, and the wood is most completely itself. He does not know he is dreaming this. He is simply there, and it is summer, and the wood is full of light. At the vicarage, a single light burns in the study. The Reverend James Alderton has been in this study since supper. He is 51 years old, the vicar of Wychford parish for 14 years, a man of moderate height and considerable patience who believes, without any particular drama, that the world is fundamentally good, and that his job is to help the people in his care arrive at similar conclusions through the evidence of their own lives. Tonight he is preparing the Christmas sermon. He does this every year in December, not the night before Christmas, which would be too late, but in the days around the solstice, when the darkness is at its most absolute and the coming of the light seems, in consequence, most meaningful. He has been vicar for 14 years, which means he has preached 14 Christmas sermons. He does not repeat himself. He considers it a point of respect to his congregation that each year's sermon should be genuinely new, genuinely arrived at, not a version of the previous one with the illustrations changed. This year's sermon is about waiting. Not the anxious waiting of someone who does not know if what they are waiting for will come. The patient waiting of someone who does know, who has been here before, who has seen the light return, who holds the knowledge of the return as a steady thing in the dark. He writes in his notebook, "The solstice teaches this if we let it. The light does not ask our permission to return. It does not require our belief. It comes because it comes, because the world is tilted the way it is tilted, because this is what December turns into reliably, year after year. Our part is not to make it happen. Our part is to be ready for it. To have kept the lamp burning, in whatever way we keep lamps burning, with small acts of care, with the faithfulness of routine, with the stubborn refusal to conclude that the dark is permanent." He reads this back. He adds below it, "The lamp in Francis Dowell's cottage. It is always the last on the lane. He has noticed this, how could he not, passing her window at all hours, watching its steady amber presence. He has thought about it, in the way he thinks about things he notices in his congregation, with attention, without intrusion. He does not know what keeps her lamp burning late. He suspects it is simply who she is, the kind of person whose lamp burns late, whose light is the last and most reliable in the dark. He will not put Frances Dowell in the Christmas sermon. That would not be right, but she is in the thinking that the sermon comes from. He closes the notebook. He sits back in the study chair. The fire in the study is small. He does not keep a large fire, being of the opinion that a cold room is better for thinking than a warm one, though he acknowledges this may be a rationalization of parsimony. The cold tonight is significant. He can feel it at his ankles, below the desk. He folds his hands. He sits for a moment in the way he sits at the beginning of prayer, not performing it, simply arriving at it, letting the day's accumulated noise settle. The solstice night. The longest dark. He sits with it for a full minute, perhaps two. Then he stands, banks the fire, takes his candle. He uses a candle in the study, finding the quality of its light more conducive to the work than a lamp, and moves through the dark vicarage toward the stairs. At midnight the vicarage is dark. In the manor house kitchen, the last of the kitchen fire is still giving heat. Mrs. Peel, Dorothy Peel, 55 years old, cooked to the manor for 23 years, finished her day at 10 o'clock, when the dining room supper had been served and cleared and the kitchen restored to its order. She has a room off the east end of the kitchen wing, a small room with a narrow window that faces the kitchen garden, and a bed that is the most important object in her life in the sense that it is the object toward which the whole of her working day tends. She is in it now. She went to bed at 10:30, which is late for her. Usually by 9 she is done. But the solstice dinner required a pudding that takes 3 hours, and the pudding was finished at 9 and served at 30:30 and praised, as she had known it would be praised, because she has been making it for 23 years and it does not fail. She is a woman who has made thousands of things that did not fail. This is not vanity, it is accuracy. In her narrow bed in her small room, with the kitchen garden outside the window frozen white, and the manor house quiet above and around her, Dorothy Peel is sleeping the sleep of someone who has done exactly what they are for. The deep, uncomplicated sleep of completed work. Her hands under the blanket are still. They are hands that have held 10,000 pans, that know the weight of pastry and the temperature of butter by touch, that have never in 23 years let a sauce break through inattention. They are resting. She is resting. The kitchen fire dims. The room is very quiet. And Dorothy Peel sleeps on the solstice night as she sleeps every night, completely, without reservation, without the fragmented half-sleep of the anxious or the restless. She gave the day everything she had. She takes the night in return. Upstairs from the kitchen in the east corridor of the servants' quarters, Mr. Cavendish, Henry Cavendish, 60 years old, butler of Thornfield Manor for 19 years, is not yet asleep. He is sitting in his chair. He has a chair, a side table, a lamp, a small bookshelf. His room is small and perfectly ordered. It is not possible for Henry Cavendish to be in a room that is not perfectly ordered, as ordering is not a practice but a condition of his existence. He is reading. The book is a history of the English country house, its architecture, its social organization, its role in the rural economy. This is not what most people would choose to read for pleasure, but Henry Cavendish has been in the service of one particular country house for 19 years, and considers the history of such institutions to be directly relevant to his own understanding of what he does and why. He is not a man who performs his work without understanding it. He is a man who believes that the butler's role, properly understood, is not the management of silverware and the supervision of footmen, though it includes both. It is the maintenance of a certain kind of order in a household, and order in the household is a form of care for everyone within it, not only the family, the staff too, the house itself, even if a house can be said to benefit from care. He believes a house can be said to benefit from care. He has cared for this one for 19 years. He marks his page. He sets the book on the side table. He crosses to the window of his room, small, north-facing, showing a slice of the kitchen garden, and beyond it the dark hillside, and above the hillside the stars. He stands at the window for a moment. The solstice. He is aware of it. He noted it in the household diary this morning, December 21, winter solstice, shortest day. He notes such things as a matter of course. The rhythms of the year belong in the household diary as much as the engagements and the menus. From upstairs, from the main house above the servants' quarters, he can hear nothing. The family is in bed. The house is at rest. Everything is in order. He is satisfied. He returns to his chair. He blows out the lamp. In the dark, he sits for a moment with his hands on his knees, a habit he has had since boyhood, this last dark minute of sitting before sleep. Then he removes his shoes. He lies down. Henry Cavendish, butler, is asleep before the quarter hour. In the cottage at the north end of Wychford, not on the main lane but on the track that leads up from it toward the lower fields, a cottage she has been renting from the Manor estate for 3 years, Eleanor Voss is at her worktable. She is 38 years old. She came to Wychford to document the botanical communities of the Limestone Valley, a project that began as a summer's work and has extended, through 2 renewals of the cottage lease, into something more substantial. She is writing a monograph. The monograph is the longest thing she has ever written and is approximately 3/4 done, and has been approximately 3/4 done for 4 months, which is a frustration she has learned to sit with. Tonight she is not writing the monograph. She is pressing specimens. 3 plants, collected this afternoon from the limestone pavement on the upper slope, plants she has documented before but found in a new configuration today, their winter arrangement worth recording. She is pressing them between sheets of blotting paper, layered between the heavy boards of her press, the wing nuts tightened to a firmness that will, over the next 2 weeks, draw the moisture from the plant material and preserve its structure. She works at this with the particular quietness of someone who is deeply used to their own company. Eleanor Voss has lived most of her adult life in solitary field work, not because she dislikes people. She likes them very much in the right quantities at the right times, but because the work requires sustained attention of a kind that other people's presence makes difficult. Not impossible, just difficult. The valley has suited her for 3 years in this respect. She has come to know its plants the way she knows her own handwriting, instantly, without having to think, the recognition coming before the nomming, the mosses of the limestone pavement, the rare ferns in the shaded gullies below the top wood, the meadow communities of the lower fields, which are extraordinarily diverse for this latitude, and which she has been arguing in the monograph are worthy of protection. She does not know yet whether the monograph will accomplish this. She knows she must write it anyway. She tightens the last wing nut. She sets the press on the shelf beside the other 7 presses in various stages. A shelf that takes up most of the east wall and is the most important thing in the room, more important than the bed, more important than the stove, more important than the stack of notebooks that occupies the floor beside the table. She puts on the kettle. She makes the tea. She sits with it at the table and looks at the east wall. All those specimens, all those careful records, all those plants she has found and named and placed within their contexts, building the slow, patient argument of the monograph 1 page at a time. 3/4 done. She will finish it in the spring. She drinks the tea. She takes the lamp to the bedroom. She lies down in the cold room under the heavy blankets she has learned, in 3 Derbyshire winters, are non-negotiable. Eleanor Voss, botanist, falls asleep thinking about ferns. The cottage on the north track goes dark at midnight. The manor house stands at the northern edge of the village, set back from the lane behind its wall and its gate and its drive of lime trees that are, on this solstice night, stripped to their winter architecture, the bare branches making a dark canopy of crossing lines against the star-bright sky. The master of the manor, Edward Thornfield, 56 years old, the fourth of his name to live in this house, is in the library. He is often in the library at this hour. The library is where he ends his evenings always. It is the room he considers the best room in the house, not because it is the grandest, the dining room is grander, or the warmest, the drawing room holds heat better, but because it is the most his. 3 generations of Thornfields have added to its shelves, and he has added to them himself, and the result is a collection that represents, in accumulated form, the reading lives of 4 men over 130 years. He finds this continuity, in a way he could not fully articulate, the most meaningful thing about the house. He is reading. The book tonight is a history of the Derbyshire landscape, not one of the popular accounts, which he considers superficial, but a geological survey, dense with technical language, that has been on his shelf for 10 years, and which he has been working through with the patience that difficult books require. He has learned from this book that the valley was formed by glacial action, that the hills on either side are composed of limestone deposited in a shallow tropical sea 350 million years ago, that the valley floor was scoured to its present shape by ice that moved through perhaps 12,000 years ago, that the beck runs over limestone bedrock that is full of fossils he has walked above every day of his life without adequately thinking about. He finds this knowledge does not diminish the valley, it deepens it. He marks his page, sets the book on the table beside him. The library fire has burned down to a deep red. He has been here since 9 and has not tended it, and it has done what fires do without tending. It will last another hour perhaps before it needs rebuilding. He will not rebuild it. He stands, goes to the library window. The drive is white with frost. The lime trees are bare and still. Beyond the gate the lane also white, also still. And beyond the lane the village, dark, nearly all of it dark now, the lamp post making its small circle and no cottage lights visible from here. They have all gone to sleep, he thinks. He is not sure why this thought moves him, but it does. He has lived in this house for 30 years and has known, in the way that you know things about the people and the place that surrounds you, without examining the knowledge too closely, that the village below is part of what the manor means. Not its estate, not its property, or not only. Part of the same valley, the same hillside, the same long human tenure in this particular piece of ground. He has known Edmund Harlow for 30 years. He has known Francis Dowell for as long as he has known anyone. He has watched Thomas Hadley arrive and settle. He knew Arthur Moss's father, who was gamekeeper before Arthur. He knows the valley. He stands at the library window for a long time. Then he takes his candle, the last light burning in the manor house, the family long since gone to bed, the staff settled, and carries it out of the library and down the hall and up the stairs and to his room. He sets the candle on the bedside table. He looks at the flame for a moment. He thinks of the valley, the dark fields and the frozen lane and the beck still moving in the cold and the stars above the ridge and all of them asleep now, or nearly. All the people of the valley laid down and quiet, held by the valley the way they are always held, without ceremony, without asking. He blows out the candle. The manor house is dark. At 3 o'clock in the morning on the 21st of December, 1887, the valley is completely dark. There is no lamp in any window. The lamp post at the end of the lane is still burning. It will burn until dawn. It always does, but its small circle of light reaches no further than the cobbles immediately around it, and everything beyond it is the absolute dark of a winter's night in a valley far from any city. The stars are extraordinary. Without any competing light, they have the valley to themselves. The Milky Way is visible as a broad, dim river across the southern sky, faint but unmistakable, the edge-on view of the galaxy's disk, composed of more stars than any human mind can properly comprehend. The familiar constellations are embedded in this river. Orion just passed his highest point, beginning his slow descent toward the western horizon, the three stars of his belt perfectly aligned. The Pleiades, a small luminous cluster that looks, to the naked eye, like a handful of very fine seeds scattered on dark cloth. Below the stars, the valley. The hills on either side are dark and still and very quiet. The moor above the keeper's cottage has a particular quality tonight. The frost-covered heather almost luminous in the starlight, a faint silver gray that is barely visible but is there, the landscape making the most of what little light the stars provide. The top wood on the hill is dark. The old oak at its center is dark. The dry stone walls crossing the fields are dark lines on a dark ground. The lane through the village is a pale line, the frost again, catching the starlight. The beck is still moving. This is the only sound. In the sleeping village, in the dark houses, 9 people are breathing slowly in the dark. 9 sets of lungs, 9 slow rhythms, 9 quiet bodies laid down and released from the day's requirements. Edmund Harlow in his chair, drifted from doze to proper sleep. Frances Dowell in her bed at the cottage's dark end. Thomas Hadley in the schoolhouse, his unfinished sentence in the drawer. Arthur Moss on the hill, still in his summer wood in his dreaming. The Reverend Alderton in the vicarage, his Christmas sermon half-written. Dorothy Peel in her narrow room off the kitchen. Henry Cavendish with his hands on the blanket in the order he prefers. Eleanor Voss under her heavy blankets, her specimens in their press. Edward Thornfield in the Manor, the library dark below him. 9 people. 1 valley. 1 night. The longest night. And the valley holds all of it, the sleeping and the frozen and the still, and the barely moving beck and the stars that have been looking at this valley since long before anyone was here to be held. It holds it the way it has always held it. Without effort. Without asking anything in return. Just holding. The valley is older than everyone in it. The limestone under the lane and the fields and the beck bed, the limestone that Edmund Harlow's patients sometimes remark on, that Eleanor Voss documents in her monograph, that Edward Thornfield has been reading about in his geological survey, is 350 million years old. 350 million years. In that time, the valley has been a shallow sea. It has been a desert. It has been covered by ice 2 miles thick. It has thawed and been carved and settled into its present shape and been colonized over 10,000 years by plants and animals, and finally by human beings who built their walls and their houses and their lane from the stone that the valley offered. The valley has held all of it. It holds the memory of the sea and its fossils, the crinoids and brachiopods that Edward Thornfield walked above without knowing. It holds the memory of the ice in the shape of its hills, the curve of its sides, the smooth valley floor the glacier made. It holds the memory of the first human presence in the earthworks on the moor above, which Arthur Moss walks past twice a day and which are, to any archaeologist who would care to examine them, the remnant of a settlement perhaps 4,000 years old. The valley does not know these things in the way a person knows things, but they are in it, and it holds them, and they are not gone. And tonight it holds 9 sleeping people. And it holds you. You have been here all night. You came with me at the beginning through the opening, through the long approach to the valley, through the lane with its frost and its lamp post and its dark windows, and you have been here through all of it. Edmund's inventory, Francis and the tin, Thomas writing in the notebook he will find again later, Arthur already asleep on the hill, the Reverend with his sermon, Dorothy Peel in her earned sleep, Henry Cavendish in his ordered room, Eleanor Voss pressing her ferns, Edward Thornfield at the library window. You have been through all of them, and now it is 3 in the morning and the valley is dark, and you are still here. You are lying down. You have been lying down for some time, since before Edmund's lamp went out, since before the church clock struck midnight, since before the last light in the manor went dark. You were lying down for all of it, and the valley has been holding you for all of it, and now the valley is holding only you. Everyone else is asleep. You are almost there. The dark around you is the dark of the valley, not the blank dark of a closed room, but a dark with depth and texture, a dark that has stars above it and frost on its ground and a beck moving somewhere below you, and the slow breath of 9 sleeping people distributed across its breadth. You are not alone in this dark. You have never been alone in it. The valley holds all of you all together, each in your separate darkness, each in your separate warmth, each breathing in the slow rhythm that the body falls into when it is completely safe, completely released, completely at rest. Breathe in. Breathe out. The valley breathes with you. Down. This is the part of the night that has no hours in it. Not midnight, not 3, not 5. Not the church clock or the keeper's alarm or the cook's internal clock that wakes her before the kitchen needs her. Not any of the mechanisms by which the day organizes itself and makes demands. Just down. The level of consciousness that is below thought. You passed through thought some time ago, passed through the thoughts of the day, which were many and various and which have now dissolved, gone the way that thoughts go in the deep night, not lost but irrelevant, set aside by the body's larger wisdom. You pass through feeling the residue of the day's emotions, the small frictions and the small pleasures, the things that were good and the things that were less good, all of it present for a moment in the half-sleep and then released, offered up to the dark, received by the dark without judgment. Now you are below all of it, in the place that has no name, because the person who would name it is not present here. Only the breath. In and out, in and out. The valley does not need you to be awake. The valley does not need you to be useful or productive or aware. The valley needs nothing from you except what you are already doing. This simple, involuntary, ancient thing of breathing, of being present in the dark, without requiring anything of the dark. The valley gives you the rest, in return for nothing. Because this is what it does, and it has always done it, and it does not know how to do otherwise. At 8:15 in the morning, the sun will return. It will not arrive with drama. The December sun in a valley this deep in the hills does not arrive dramatically. It will first show itself as a brightening of the sky above the eastern ridge, a slow lightening of the dark that begins at the very top and moves downward, the ridge catching the first horizontal light while the valley floor is still in the night's shadow. Then gradually the light will descend. The top wood will catch it first, the bare branches of the oaks holding the early morning light at their outer tips, turning from dark to amber to the pale gold that midwinter morning light is. Then the upper fields. Then the lane's end. Then, wall by wall, house by house, window by window, the village. Arthur Moss will be on the hill when it comes. He will have made the morning round already. The 5 o'clock and the 7 o'clock will be on his way back down when the light finds the moor and turns the frost-covered heather from gray to white to a pale, brief gold. Dorothy Peel will see it through the kitchen window, the east-facing window, as she is laying the fire for the morning. She will not remark on it. She will simply see it and be glad of it and return to the fire. Thomas Hadley will see it through the schoolroom window as he is chalking the day's lessons on the board. The light falling across the children's empty desks at that low winter angle, making the scored surfaces glow for a moment before the sun rises higher and the angle changes. Frances Dowell will see it from her garden, where she will have gone to check the roses despite the cold, because she goes to the garden every morning, cold or not, and the garden will have its brief moment of winter gold, the stone wall of the east border catching the light and holding it longer than anything else in the garden. Edmund Harlow will be at the dispensary counter, writing the morning's entries in the ledger, and the light will come in through the window and touch the amber bottles on the shelf, and turn them briefly into something that seems almost to burn from within. The Reverend Alderton will see it through the study window, and will add something to the Christmas sermon in the margin of his notebook, something about the quality of the light on the shortest day, which is not less than summer's light but different, more deliberate, more clearly given. Henry Cavendish will see it from the Manor's east corridor as he is completing the morning's opening of the house. The drawing-room curtains, the dining-room curtains, the library curtains, each room admitted to the morning in turn. Edward Thornfield will see it from the library window, where he will be standing with his first cup of tea, as he sometimes stands on winter mornings, watching the light find the lime trees in the drive. Eleanor Voss will already be on the limestone pavement, her notebook in her hand, recording what the frost has done overnight to the plants she is documenting. But she will look up when the light comes over the ridge, and she will stand still for a moment, her pen at rest, just watching. The valley will receive the light, as it receives everything, without drama, without needing to be told. That is morning, and morning has not come. It is still the long night, still the dark, still the valley holding you. You are deep in it now, deeper than you have been, deeper than thought, deeper than the hours. You are at the bottom of the night, which is also the bottom of the year, which is also, and here is the thing, the steady, reliable, unchangeable thing, the turning point. From here only return. Not yet, not for hours. The darkness has its long due and it will take it, but it is no longer increasing. It has reached its greatest extent, this dark, and has begun, so slowly you would not notice it, so slightly that no instrument could measure it in a single night, to retreat. The light is already, imperceptibly on its way. You do not need to do anything about this. You do not need to know it, or hold it, or ensure it. It does not depend on you. It happens because the world is the way it is, and the world has always been this way, and the light returns without your help and without your belief and without your vigilance. All you are required to do is rest. To lie in the valleys dark and breathe, and let the night have its hours, and trust, with the deep, unexamined trust of a body that has done this 10,000 times. That morning will come when morning comes, and the light will come with it, and the valley will receive both. As it always has. As it always will. Breathe in. And out. Edmund is sleeping. Frances is sleeping. Thomas is sleeping. Arthur is sleeping on the hill, in the summer wood of his dreaming. The Reverend is sleeping, the sermon waiting. Dorothy Peel is sleeping the sleep of completed work. Henry Cavendish is sleeping in his ordered dark. Eleanor Voss is sleeping with her ferns. Edward Thornfield is sleeping in the manor house, above the dark library, above the dark drive, above the lime trees that will catch the morning's first light. All of them sleeping, all of them held, all of them in the valley's long, patient solstice dark. And you with them, and the valley with you, and the night doing what the night does, receiving everything, asking nothing, holding it all until morning comes, and the world turns toward the light, and everything that needed to rest has rested, and everything that needed to be still has been still, and the long, good work of sleep is done. But not yet. Not yet. There are hours still. And the valley is warm, and the dark is deep, and the breath is slow, and you are here, and you are safe, and you are carried. Down. Further down. Into the longest night. Into the deepest rest. Into the sleep that the solstice makes wider than ordinary sleep, older than ordinary sleep. The sleep that the valley has been offering every December for 10,000 years to whoever is here to receive it. You are here. You are receiving it. Sleep. What follows is not for sleeping, it is for those who wake. You may read it now, or leave it for another day. The light came at 8:15. It found the ridge first, as it always does. The eastern ridge with its limestone edge, pale and thin against the brightening sky, found it and turned it from gray to white to the particular amber gold of winter morning, which is different from every other kind of morning gold and has no name in English for the difference, though the difference is real, and everyone who has seen it knows it. Then the light descended into the top wood, where Arthur Moss was already on his way back down, his lantern no longer needed, the path visible without it. He paused at the boundary wall and watched the light find the heather of the upper moor and go across it in a wave. Into the fields, where the frost was still heavy, and where the light turned each frozen blade of grass into a brief, luminous thing, lasting until the temperature rose and the thaw began, which would be mid-morning at the earliest. Into the lane, where the frost on the cobbles caught the low light and glittered, and where the lamp post had finally, at first light, extinguished itself, its oil done. Through the dispensary window, where Edmund Harlow was at his counter, and the amber bottles glowed. Across the cottage rooftops, where the smoke of the morning fires was beginning to rise, Dorothy Peel in the Manor kitchen, Frances Dowell banking up her range, Thomas Hadley in the schoolhouse where the children would arrive in an hour. Into the garden of the cottage at the western end of the lane, where Frances stood in her coat in the cold, checking the roses, and the east wall lit up gold behind her, and she stood with her face turned toward it for a moment. And the valley received the light, as it always has, as it always will. The valley that is older than everyone in it. The valley that held 9 sleeping people through the longest night. The valley that holds you now, as you wake into the morning. The valley that has, from the very first story, from the very first evening, been here, warm and dark and patient and steady, asking nothing, giving everything, carrying all of it. The Thornfield Valley. Still here. Thank you for staying. Thank you for all 10 evenings. Sleep well whenever you return. Thornfield will be here. It is always here.